Buffalo Bills 31, Dallas Cowboys 10. Have to say, I did not see this results coming. Thought we'd have a better game. Bills moved to 8-6. Cowboys fall to 10-4. I mean, obviously the biggest story about this game is James Cook going off. But not just James Cook. It was the entire Bills rushing attack. They scored 31 points, and Josh Allen completed 7 passes. As the game went on, it was like, well, the Bills are up 21-3, and Josh Allen's completed 5 passes. That whole, the balance of Josh Allen's supposed to be the guy that carries the team. He said after the game, this was like me doing a group project, and we got an A, and I didn't do any of the work. Complete opposite of the rest of the Josh Allen experience the last couple of years. Incredible effort by the Bills, their run game, and James Cook in particular.
Yeah. This was a really fascinating game where, sometimes you talk about early in the game sort of determines how the game is going to go. Whether you get the stop or whether you get those 2 touchdowns like the Cardinals and all this kind of thing. Very first drive. Bills drive down, 3rd and 4, incomplete pass. Dallas stopped them in the red zone. And the drive gets extended by a roughing the passer call on Josh Allen that frankly was bullshit. And for Josh Allen now has one of the most extensive highlight reels of flopping of any NFL player in history. He's got a huge amount of them. And for a guy that is later in the game, there's a play where Josh Allen is dragging 3 different Dallas defenders on a carry. You can't be both those guys at the same time. You can't, on the one hand, drag multiple defenders for extra rushing yards, and on the other hand, somebody push me in the chest, faint backwards, swoon like you're some sort of 18th century damsel in distress. He does. He flops. The officials buy it. He goes down clutching his face mask, pointing to his head. I got hit in the face. You weren't anywhere. The guy was nowhere near your face. He pushed you in the chest, and not even egregiously late. It shouldn't have been roughing the passer. It was. It extends the drive. They score a touchdown, and that essentially determines how this game is going to start. If they have to settle for a field goal, and instead, Dallas can stay where they are. Now, the Bills' defense also played incredibly. They were aggressive. They started to get multiple penalties for cracking Dak Prescott in the head as he went sliding. So it was just this interesting start of the game where an egregious flop by Josh Allen extends a drive, gives them a touchdown instead of a field goal. Their defense plays incredibly aggressive and gets a bunch of legitimate penalties. And between those two things, it kind of set this game on this pathway of the Bills are going to put up some points, have some success, and Dallas couldn't match them.
I see you have breaking news that we can't talk about.
Yeah.
Great.
So you probably shouldn't bring that up.
We'll reveal it later. That's good. No, it's good news. It's good news. It's good stuff. Yeah. I'm on record, Sam. We should penalize flopping.
Yes.
Penalize all of it. I also think Dak Prescott, did they pull one of those late hits on him on the slides? Because they only had 1 penalty, Buffalo. It felt like the only way Dallas was moving the ball is if Dak Prescott slid as late as possible and induced another hit. That stuff drives me crazy too. I think it's just as bad as the flop. Waiting the last second, kind of getting in that half slide mode. Am I slide in? Am I what am I going to do? Am I still running? Am I slide in? Am I all the way down? Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into the Casey hit earlier, thank goodness. But
that was the play Tom Brady's talking about.
Yeah. Again, the whole
you
point,
led your receiver into death. Your receiver almost got death.
The whole point Brady was trying to make, again, before Alex Smith went on his AFC East tirade, was that it's on the quarterback and the receiver to also protect themselves, not just the rules, not just the letter of the law. And that one more quick thing, because Cam Newton said a thing last week where he used the term game manager. And everybody attacked Cam Newton and said, well, these guys are better than you, Cam. Right? And so Brady says this thing, you need to protect the receivers. And everybody says, well, you overthrew guys over the middle too. We're in this world where you can respond to the message without only attacking the messenger. And so just because Brady said we were taught to not overthrow guys over the middle and to protect them doesn't mean he didn't do it. Just because Cam said, hey, Dak Prescott's a game manager. I think Dak Prescott is better than Cam Newton, other than one season. Like, I think that's true. But Cam Newton's allowed to have an opinion. We have this weird thing. You do this sometimes too. You're like, I don't want to listen to this backup quarterback because he was terrible. When it's like, it doesn't, like when somebody could look at you and be like, well, you were, a Division II All-American in the Irish Football League, and why would I listen to you? Like, we can't downplay the quality of the messenger, and that's what we focus on. Like, talk about the message, Sam.
There are times where the only times I say that is where there's a distinct lack of self-awareness when the guy is saying some things. Like he's railing against, a specific thing by a starting quarterback without being aware of like who it is and what the career was that is delivering this message. Like, for example, Alex Smith going on a tirade about how Tom Brady was in this cakewalk of a division. You have to be aware that he's Tom Brady and you're Alex Smith when you're delivering that message as you're sat there next to Teddy Bruschi and Randy Moss. Like, how does that not, you know what I mean? That's where I think there should be at least an awareness of what you're saying. That's when I tend to go off on a rant about those people. It's not that, like, I would say I would focus on that as opposed to the message, but, like, I think you should bring that up and be aware of who you are. The Cam Newton thing, what he said was plenty dumb enough to attack without focusing on Cam Newton or his outfit or anything like that. Like, and his explanation, like he came back afterwards and gave like a further, here's my thoughts teased out a bit. And that was contradictory and ridiculous. So the message itself was plenty ridiculous enough to just focus on without even criticizing the messenger. He was trying to argue that actually being a game manager is a good thing, and Tom Brady's a great game manager, and Peyton Manning's a great game manager. But then you're like, but you can't on the one hand say it's a great thing because Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and yada yada game managers. On the other hand, game changers are the ones that matter. You're like, well, hang on, that doesn't make any sense. Like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning clearly changed games as well. The whole thing was just contradictory bullshit.
I agree. I mean, the whole term game manager and system quarterback, because everybody has different interpretations of what they mean. And it's like, of course you want to run a system. Of course you want to manage the game. It's like, well, that's not what people are talking about. Like, we all have different definitions of that.
And he sort of waded into that as well, but then got himself lost when he started making the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning stuff. It's just, it was a nonsensical discussion by Cam Newton.
We're pulling it back in here.
Yes.
James Cook was unbelievable in this game again. I mean, this was like against the Chiefs. Early in the game, James Cook had an excellent game. They hit him up the seam with a touchdown, and then it seemed like they didn't go to him as much. He disappeared a little bit. But this was the game. This happens 3 or 4 times a year, where we say when the coaches draw this thing up, we're going to establish the run. We're going to run the ball. Or when people respond and it's like, you're running the ball, why would you stop? Well, because if you just keep running the ball, like, sometimes you get stopped. The Bills didn't get stopped. They just kept running it at 7 yards a pop for James Cook in particular. And it started right on the first drive. I mean, they went for 7 yards a pop on the first drive. Josh Allen only had a couple completions, and they kept going. It doesn't usually work this way, where at the end of the day, you have 266 yards on the ground, including kneel downs and everything. I mean, it was really more dominant than that. And Dallas had no answers for Buffalo's run game.
So let me take a stab at a bit of nuance here. The game ends up, 31-10 or something like that? And it wasn't even that close. It's essentially a 30-point victory, right? So clearly the game was not close. However, there were a bunch of big, potentially game-swinging mistakes or freaky things or bad luck, all of which went against Dallas. So we talked early, there was that roughing the passer call that shouldn't have existed, that turned 3 into 7 points. Dallas should have had a blocked punt that could have changed the game in a huge way, right?
That was weird.
Sam Williams, was it?
Yes.
Gets completely clean up the middle and somehow jumped past the football. And not only did he not block it, but he then, because he jumped past the ball, jumped into the punter and actually turned it into a first down, right? And ends up getting rough in the kicker.
Yeah.
And instead, it could have been a defensive or a special teams touchdown for Dallas and ends up being a first down and the drive extended for Buffalo instead. Like that's about as bad a swing as you're going to get on a single play, which, I mean, that's a mistake by Dallas. So it's not like it's a bad luck play, but they essentially engineered a blocked punt, and somehow instead of a blocked punt, which could easily have been a touchdown. It ends up being a first down on the play, which resulted in a touchdown on that drive. So that's 14-0, right?
Yeah.
They could have been 7-7 on a play where the first 7 by Buffalo was a little bit lucky. So what could have been, if you take it to the extremes, could have been like 3-7 Dallas is actually 14-0 Buffalo. Later on, they get a clean peanut punch on Stephon Diggs, they just didn't get given the fumble. How did that work?
I don't know what happened there.
They got a clean knock out of the ball and had recovered it. And I think I don't know what happened on that play, but they didn't get it anyway. So there was a bunch of little plays that went against Dallas that could have made this a much closer game than it actually was. But it doesn't change the fundamentals, which is, Dallas could not stop Buffalo's running game all game long. And the Bills' defense was hyper-aggressive and did do a really good job of stopping this Dallas offense, which had been, up until this point, very difficult to stop.
Yeah, I appreciate the nuance there because it is easy to get caught up in this. I've done this before, too, coming out of a Sunday where there's a blowout.
There you go. Fact checker Ben in on it. The official ruled that play down, and Dallas didn't look at it quickly enough to challenge.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, I mean, where we're breaking down a blowout, and it's like, I know it feels bad for the Cowboys or it feels bad for the losing team, but literally if you just flip a couple plays, which may have been lucky, unlucky, may have been their fault, that just maybe the next time they go a little differently, it's not as close. That's not diminishing the credit that the Bills deserve here. Their defense did an outstanding job. Their coverage unit, I mean, Dak missed, one or two deep balls early, I think it was. Coverage unit, though, made everything difficult. They were working downhill, attacking, no yards after the catch.
I mean, they're
such a good job.
The Bills' coverage defenders had 10 defensive stops. So plays where they've given up a catch.
That's what I'm saying. It just felt like they were flying to the football in this game.
So plays where they've given up a catch but make a tackle either short of the first down on, third down or fourth down, or very close to the line of scrimmage, like short of a successful play on offense. So they were giving up catches but making sure they weren't going anywhere. A ton of them were like dump off, check downs to Tony Pollard. But their defense was absolutely suffocating Dallas. So even if a bunch of these plays had broken Dallas's way, I think Buffalo probably still wins the game, and maybe by a score or two, because Dallas wasn't able to stop them and they weren't able to move the ball themselves.
Dak had about 38% of his yards came after the catch. Like, they just did not. I mean, the Bills did a great job cracking down on that. So that's one thing. Dak's going to end up, he's in the middle of one of the strangest seasons of all time. If you look at his grading breakdown, he's still grading at 90 plus, and at the end of the day here, at the end of this game, he'll probably be grading in the 40s. It'll be his third game, maybe in the 30s. It'll be the third game where he grades in the 40s or lower. And it was the Niners game in week 5, it was the Cardinals game in week 3, and then this game against Buffalo. And he's still at 90 plus. I don't know if we've ever seen that in history. I don't know if fact checker Ben doesn't have time to look back to 2006 for that one. But just a crazy difference in performance for Dak week to week. So Buffalo deserves credit. Prescott didn't make the throws. The one other thing here, I saw that. I don't even want to reference it. Skip. And the stupid... Skip Bayless. And, I still can't even believe he's a thing.
You see...
But he's throwing the Micah Parsons. He does these, staged, I'm going to throw the jersey. It's not even... I only saw it because Richard Sherman.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did you see Sherman's tweet essentially begging him to stop making his wife record these ridiculous social videos?
That's just insane.
Every one of them involves him walking into his kitchen from whatever that back room is in the doorway back there that we never see, strutting in a peak of rage, and then doing whatever he's going to do. In this case, it's take a Micah Parsons jersey, toss it in the garbage, and then do this weird walk off like John Wayne, where he's been sitting on a horse too long. He walks really strangely.
So then it made me think, okay, let's go back and watch Micah Parsons, because Josh Allen only dropped back 21 times, whatever it was. And Micah Parsons probably ends up with 7 pressures on 21 dropbacks. Now, did he hit Allen? No. No sacks. He's forced multiple incompletions. The one complaint you might say he lost contain when Allen rolled half rolled the pocket to throw to James Cook for that one touchdown pass. Parsons was unblockable again.
I don't even think
But the ball just kept coming out quickly by the Bills. That happens sometimes.
I don't even think that's a statement on Micah Parsons. I think
the Cowboys.
He's just already burned his Dak Prescott jersey and his CeeDee Lamb jersey, and like this is the next Cowboys jersey he's got to throw in the bin.
Again, I don't want to give Skip Bayless any more time.
Anyway, Richard Sherman's tweet was stop making Ernestine, however you say that, which is his wife's name, film these videos. I think it's a fair point. He absolutely should stop making the poor woman film these videos.
All right, so where does this have us now? Bills at 8-6, and they are technically the number 9 seed, Sam. They're not in the playoff picture right now. Yeah, they're not in. So there's ahead of them right now the Bengals, Colts, Texans, and then it's the Bills. They're all 8-6. They're all in the wild card mix here. The Bengals are the one team that absolutely has the tiebreaker because they won the head-to-head over the Bills. The Colts and Texans, it's all going to be based off of win percentage in conference games. But the Bills are absolutely better than their 8-6 record would show. Mm-hmm. And the big story coming out of this, of course, is the multiple-year narrative that they need to win games without just Josh Allen, like they did it in this game. It was defense, it was run game, it was James Cook.
15 pass attempts.
15 pass. Now, he ran the ball a bunch, had some scrambles, had some sneaks and the whole thing. But that has to bode well that the Bills can have this type of game, right? And win against Dallas, too, against a very good team. That's huge.
Well, and we've talked all season long about how Dallas has the best pass rush in the NFL. Well, one of the best ways of negating that is not needing to pass the ball. I mean, if you're able to run the ball as effectively as they were and rely on Josh Allen turning a few pass attempts into scrambles, I mean, they didn't expose themselves to the best pass rush in the NFL. Like you were saying, with Micah Parsons was still Micah Parsons. It's just that he didn't have 35, 40 dropbacks to tee off and go after the quarterback.
They in their last 3 games here, Buffalo has the Easton Stick Chargers. Though they're coming off, they've got interim head coach bump.
Yeah.
So you got the bump. They got the Patriots, and then they're at Miami. So Buffalo's got a road here. The at Miami game to finish the season will be interesting, but they have a chance to get back in the playoff picture, obviously. And they'll be getting pretty hyped up because they beat the Cowboys. And the shouty shows are having a ball right now, live as we speak, trashing the Cowboys. They're all trashing the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, Skip certainly is.
It's all over for Dallas.